This is what I look like in the morning. They don't tell you, but eventually you become what you collect. And in my case, it's a plant. So I'm a plant now. You know. Welcome back to a special Halloween video. I pulled this old mask out of the Halloween stuff just for this video. So today I thought I would talk about some spooky plants. And I have some in my collection that I think are more, festive for the October season. So I'm going to be going over each of them, giving them a rating out of 5 pumpkins as to just how spooky they are for the season, and talk a little bit about how easy they are to care for or what you have to do if you want to add them to your collection. I'm also not wearing this the whole time because it is so hot under there. So to start this video off, I know it's going to be hard to kind of see everything. I'm just shooting this on my webcam, and I am way backlit right now with my window behind me. But I'll post pictures up of the plants that I'm talking about. But the first plant is this, TRADESCANTIA ZEBRINA. And man, this quality in this webcam is pretty terrible. So TRADESCANTIAs are pretty easy to take care of. I thought that this one fit the more Halloween feel because it's got this really nice purple underside. Is purple a Halloween color? Well, purple's dark, so Halloween is like dark. It's spooky looking, okay? It's kind of spooky looking, and it grows in every which way. It doesn't really have like a nice growth pattern to it. I've mentioned before in past videos that I'm not a big fan of TRADESCANTIAs, but they definitely do fit the season. They're super easy to grow. They're super easy to propagate. You just kind of cut them wherever, put them in water, and they'll start growing for themselves. So I'm going to give TRADESCANTIA ZEBRINAs a 3 out of 5 pumpkins. It's generous, It's generous. Only because they have that purple underside, which for me seems Halloween-y, I guess. Our next plant is the ZZ Raven. You can't really tell from this webcam quality, but the ZZ Raven is just like the regular ZZ plant, except that it is black. It's the goth version of the ZZ. And the fact that it is black alone makes it a good candidate to, decorate your house with during October and Halloween times. ZZs are super easy to take care of. You have to water them like maybe once a month, and you can like leave them somewhere, forget about them, and they'll still do fine. They don't like a lot of water. They grow from tubers in the soil. They look like kind of big balls, and you can kind of see them poking out of the soil. One of the easiest plants to care for, and of course the Raven is the black variety of this plant. So I would have to say I'd have to give this one a good 5 pumpkins out of 5 pumpkins. Our next plant is the watch chain plant. I got this succulent out of an arrangement that my mom got, and it's so cool. I'll post a picture so you guys can see it more clearer, but it looks like little snakes basically. So it's almost like scaled long tendrils, and they kind of go every which way. As a succulent, it likes to be in well-draining soil, and it doesn't need a lot of water, and it's super easy to care for. These ones in particular, I've drowned multiple times, and they still come back, and they're doing quite well actually now. They do grow a little kind of chaotically, which for my OCD self can be a little bit unnerving. But just the look of this plant is really cool. It reminds me a lot of Medusa's hair, like with all the snakes that are kind of like, So I'm also going to give this one 5 out of 5 pumpkins because it's cool and it's spooky and it looks like snakes. Okay, so the next plant on our list is what I am calling a spiky aloe, simply because I have no idea what it's called. When I got this plant, it was a lot smaller and it just said succulent on it. Didn't say what it was, but I thought it was really cool because it looked like a half moon. And I think it's some type of aloe, even though I've killed like all of the regular aloes that I've ever had. This one has stayed alive. It's got these little spiky dudes on the side, and it just looks really cool. Originally it looked more like a half moon. Since then, a lot of this top has kind of grown out and splayed all over the place. But it's Halloween-y because it kind of looks like the moon still, sort of. I mean, like, if you ignore the top half, and moons come out year-round, but werewolves howl at moons, and, okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give this one, like, a 3 out of 5 pumpkins. Also, if you know what this plant is called, please let me know in the comments below, because otherwise I'm just going to keep calling it a spiky aloe, and that's going to be its scientific name from now on. I also don't know the name of this next plant, and I'm calling it a blue-green cactus. I think it's a type of prickly pear, but I have prickly pears, and this doesn't look anything like it. And once again, when I bought this, all it said was cactus. It didn't tell me what type it was. But it's kind of spooky because it's like bulbous and cactusy, and it's like this pale green color. It kind of reminds me of like a ghost. Oh, there's also a spider web on it, so that's spooky right there. I'm gonna have to clean that off. As a cactus, it likes to be in well-draining soil. It doesn't like to sit in water, so I water it very gingerly because I have a heavy hand and I water everything like it's its last drink. It hasn't grown for me at all since I've got it, and I've had this for about a year now. But yeah, I think cactuses are a pretty spooky kind of plant anyway that you could put around your house and use as decor for Halloween anyway, because, you know, the spikes and the danger and everything that comes with cactuses. I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5 pumpkins. You know, could be spookier, but the fact that I don't even know what it is spooky enough. Again, if you know what this is, please let me know in the comments below. Again, I think it's a type of prickly pear. I don't know if there are different types or not, but if that's what it is, I would love to hear from you. Our next plant on this list is the Pothos Enjoy. It's a pothos, so it's super easy to look after. You know, it needs to be watered maybe about once a week. It likes its soil to mostly dry out between waterings. But it has this nice white variegation and bright green leaves, so it's not really spooky or Halloween-y at all. So 0 pumpkins out of 5. Our next plant is the Haworthia. This is another spiky succulent. I have a care video of these that I did either this month or last month, and I will link that video in the description below. But these succulents, they stay kind of small, they're kind of compact, so, you know, they're not that spooky in that regards. I mean, spiders are small, and they are literally the most terrifying thing on this planet. But it's spiky, you know, it's spiky and dangerous and a succulent. As a succulent, it likes to be in well-draining soil, and it likes to be watered maybe about once a week, but it likes the soil to be really dry before you water it again. I keep all of my succulents and cactuses in terracotta pots just to help with the water wicking action, because if I overwater this, which I do, the terracotta will help to absorb some of the water out of the soil to dry it more quickly so that the roots aren't sitting in water. But yeah, I would give this, like, you know, a 3 out of 5 pumpkins. Sure, 3 out of 5 pumpkins. Our next plant is a Sansevieria cylindrica and the starfish variety. I got this cutting in a trade that happened in Markham around Toronto last year, and it hasn't really done much since. It's stayed alive though, and it's growing, I think, a little bit. But the person who I got this from, she told me that hers also is a really slow growing Sansevieria, so I'm being very patient with it. And it's not, you know, super spooky. It's spiky and it's very sharp. I have another cylindrica, like a regular one, that I have like literally cut my thumb on multiple times. So I mean, I suppose that is scary, you know, the danger element to this plant. But the scariest thing on this is this fly trap and all the fungus gnats on it. And what's scary about that is that I still have fungus gnats, and it is October. As a Sansevieria, it likes to be in well-draining soil. I treat this kind of like I treat my succulents. I actually have it over with all of my succulents and cactuses. So I have it in well-draining soil. I keep it in a terracotta pot to help wick away some of the extra water that I give it. And I water it about once a week, maybe every 2 weeks once winter kind of sets in. But I mean, like, it's not the spookiest plant that I have, so it gets like a 2 out of 5 pumpkins. Our next plant is this black coral Sansevieria, and this is basically like a regular Sansevieria trifasciata, except that it is darker. It's not as black as the ZZ Raven, but it does have a lot of darker foliage leaves. Like, look at this one. Most of that is a lot darker. Most of this one is a lot darker. I do have a care video for this specific type of Sansevieria up, and I will post the video to that in the description below as well. As a Sansevieria, this thing likes to be in well-draining soil. It likes to be watered very sparingly. I water this thing maybe once a week during the summer and once every 2 weeks during the winter, but I always check it with my moisture meter to make sure that it is bone dry before I give it any water, because I have overwatered these in the past and they do not take kindly to being overwatered. But if you've watched my channel before, you know that I love Sansevieria. They're my favorite plant, and this one is no exception to that. So in terms of spookiness, because it's like the goth cousin of the Sansevieria, you know, it's darker, it's moodier. So I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 pumpkins, just, you know, because it's a Sansevieria and it deserves more love than any other plant. The last plant that I'm going to be talking about in this spooky Halloween episode is the Philodendron MICANS. And you probably wouldn't expect a nice vining philodendron to be featured on this spooky Halloween list of creepy looking plants. But the more that I've been looking at this, the more it's just been giving off really like Halloween-y vibes. You know, the foliage is kind of fuzzy and it like droops. It looks very gothic. I think that of all the vining plants that I have, I think that this philodendron micans is definitely the most macabre out of all of them. So caring for a micans is pretty easy. It's a lot like caring for a pothos. I don't think that they grow as profoundly as pothos. You know, I've had this one for a few years and literally this is all that it's done. They can go in areas of shade or higher light, but it just has to be in a place of diffused light. And I water these once a week, but again, I make sure that the soil is pretty dry because I have overwatered these in the past, and they do handle overwatering pretty well, I've found, but I just like to be extra safe because this is one of my favorite plants. But you could just get a whole bunch of these and like put them all over your house for October and for Halloween, and there'd just be these dark, hanging, moody leaves everywhere. It's a good design choice. I've also had cuttings of these in my propagation videos that I've had for like months and they've done absolutely nothing. So they take a long time to propagate as well. So for a rating, I'm going to give the philodendron micans like a 4 out of 5, which is generous, but you know what? Deserves it. And that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. You can find links to previous videos all over my page. And I'll also post the links to the care videos that I mentioned in the description below. I hope that everybody has a safe Halloween this year. I know a lot of people are opting out of Halloween this year, and some people are still doing it. So whether you're opting out or whether you are, just make sure that you do it in a safe manner. Stay healthy and stay safe, and have a happy Halloween. The spookiest thing about this video is the quality of this webcam. Man. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for similar content. On Mondays, I post videos about houseplants, and on Fridays, I also post videos about houseplants, and reading, writing, photography, art, and any other generic interests of mine. As always, you can find my social media links in the description below. Also, you can find links to H&H Games, the board game company I've helped create, and our debut board game, Season of Heroes. You can also find the Amazon links to my fantasy series, A Chronicle of Crowns. Thanks for watching, bye! I gotta moisturize more.